पता नहीं, मेरी तबीयत खराब थी, मैं जब भी आ ही गया।
मुझे पता है तुम्हारी तबीयत खराब हो ही जाती है, इंसान हो ना, इंसान तो कर ही देते हैं खराब।
नहीं यार, मेरे को वो है ना, डबल निमोनिया की शिकायत है, पता है
अच्छा
आपको?
हाँ, तुमने बताया था, सॉरी मैं भूल गया।
जब एक बार
अब
भी
ठीक है।
जब एक बार बिगड़ जाता है ना मुझे।
Start. A very good morning to all. In today's session, we are all going to learn what is all about advertising and media selection. So let's begin with the introduction to advertising. So advertising is any form of communication which is mainly used to convince to, or you can say, an audiences to take some action regarding their purchase decisions towards a particular product in respect of any commercial products, or you can see the residential products. It could be any items which are offered for sales by the companies or any services. That is called advertising. So advertising is mainly used for the purpose to convince the customers towards the various products that a company offer in a particular, you can say, own marketplace. That is called advertising. There have been plenty of the examples which portray that these are the forms of advertising, or these are the instances of advertising, which could be include television, print advertisements, product placements, and infomercials. So sometimes advertising could also be used to, you can say, advertise in a form of the formals or informal graphic designing, so that the consumers could attract and interested to find out some more information about the new products which are offered by the company in a particular market, and that is also called advertising. So let's begin with that how the advertising works for. So according to the Paul E.G. Gerhardt, advertising moves always through the plenty of the stages or the steps before it's achieve its own objectives or the objectives of the company. So automatically the first point is it's get planned and brought into existence. So whatever the company planned into for a particular product, and it's brought into an existence into a market, that the product is ready. Now it's being ready to launch into a market, and how it would going to advertise in a larger audience, in the large and the mass of the population. That is called, or it could be done through advertising. Advertising can be reproduced and delivered and exposed to people only. So advertising is mainly for the audiences, mainly for the people, that how their needs and wants could be satisfied, and when these needs and wants would originate by the people, definitely it somehow advertising is always helps to produce that, and it could be reproduced and delivered as per the schedules. Next one is advertising. It is received and assimilated. Of course, that advertising is always do just to get a return, whatever it's did for a product in a particular marketplace or for the larger audiences. So it's automatically circulated. The more and more circulate through the ads to the people, and the people will get awareness about the brand of the company, about the branded products of a particular company. That is more useful through the advertising. Advertising is also affects the ideas, intention, and attitude. It's not in the negative perspective, it is in positive perspective, that advertising can also be change the ideas, the intentions, the attitudes of the customers. Next is advertising affects the buying process. Definitely that advertise when there is a when the advertising is done for a larger audience, and of course it's a very appealing advertisement. If the customer has seen it on television in a printed form, then definitely it will affect the buying decision processes of the customers or of the people. Next one is it respond to time. Advertising, it always been repeated according to the time. It always been changed. It's always been improvised according to the situation and circumstances and demand of the market. Next one is it affects the trade efforts and supply. It always been affected how much the import and export, you can see efforts has been done, that how it will increase or decrease the import and exports of a particular market, and accordingly the supply which also fluctuates due to the advertising, due to the good or bad advertising. Next one is it affects the product consumption. Of course, that advertising is always increase the consumption of the products as more and more to or by the customers. Next one is it changes the sales and profit. Advertising is also changes. It would be increased, it could be decreased the sales and profit. But the ultimate purpose of advertising is to increase the sales and profit so that the company can innovate or invent new and new products with the latest technology in the market for the customers or for the audiences. Next one is it changes the market. It could change the you can say the size, the quality mix, the intensity, the competition. In fact, the trade relations, the considerations, it always fluctuates. It always changes according to the needs of the markets, according to the requirements of the market, and accordingly the advertising is to be done so that they can fulfill the needs of the market. So this is how the advertising works based on these parameters. Next topic is the next subject is the types of advertising. So there are the plenty of the types, the most important types that you can learn during this lecture. The first one is consumer advertising, or in other words, we can talk it's B2C, that means business to consumer marketing or advertising or consumer marketing. So basically, whatever the company, you can say, market the finished products or the services to the ultimate consumer, or you can say a potential end consumers in a consumer market. That is called the consumer advertising. So the company, whatever the market their products, or you can say the finished products and services, to the basically to the ultimate consumers in a consumer market, that is called the consumer advertising. It's mainly dependent how it will gain the extensive knowledge about the taste and preferences of the customers. So basically, consumer advertising is mainly focuses on the experiences, on the feedback of the consumers, so that they will get to know about the taste and preferences of their own customers, whether the existing customers or and the present customers. It also focuses on generating the demand. As the companies mainly focus on the customer, then it always thinks about that how to generate the demand through applying or using the marketing tools so that the customers could attract more and more and the sales would get increased. And it could be through the advertising campaigns, the attractive packaging, after sales services. So these are the services or these are the marketing tools that the company could offer and increase their sales through such advertising. And that's called consumer advertising. Next one is industrial advertising, where we can talk about business to business marketing. In other words, we can say, so ultimately it could market or marketing the industrial goods or services in the industrial market only. So it means that how it relies or how it depends on the tools of the competitive tendering and the effective communications channels between the industrial companies or the professional buyers related to the specific product. As it is industrial, it relies on the industrial product. So ultimately, whatever the product is to be made by the industries or the respective industries that is related to the specific product. So a specific product could be the cement, could be the metals, could be the any other sort of the you can see the products we can talk about we can talk about the metals, we can talk about the iron, we can talk about the black iron coals, we can talk about. So it is a highly specialized products where they need an effective communication channels between the industrial companies and between the industrial companies and the professionals, buyers who are deeds or who are willing to purchase or mainly come for purchasing the highly specialized products only. It can be a self purchase process. It also involves the self purchase process so that the companies could provide the innovative solutions to whatever the customers or the industrial customers problems. So automatically the major companies or the industries would always come forward to solve the queries of the professional buyers who are actually facing the problems or the concerns related to the highly specialized products which has been made up by the industries. Next one is institutional advertising. So basically, institutional advertising we can refer as a strategies which always promote an organizational and how and all its offerings, and that is called the institutional advertising. So the on such type of advertising is mainly focuses on the organizational products, on the organizational offerings that they are actually what they are actually offered to its own customers, what messages they will portray through such advertising, how they will focus to increase the exposure of the company branded products, the company image, or what would be the messages that they are going to reveal to its customers, and that is called institutional advertising. So their main focus is that how they will attract, how they will keep the customer to remain in for the or loyal for the organizations through such type of advertising, through offerings to or various type of offerings that they could give to the customers. That is called the institutional advertising. The next one is product advertising. So it is a strategy when a particular organization develops all their own marketing efforts, which are mainly focused on the specific product. It could be, you can see the belly water products, belly water perfumes, or the body sprays. That is also the one of the specific product which is mainly care for the health of the particular individuals, and accordingly they will advertise it separately from the other products and ultimately with the overall brand, and that is called the product advertising. That how they will advertise their specific product individually based on the requirements of the market, and that is called the product advertising. And product advertising, it's not about the company brand, it's all about the product, it's all about the product features, it's all about the uses of the product, the benefits of the products, which always appeals to the customer, and ultimately it will a sum of the one of the type of advertising that actually increases the sales of the customers, and that's called the product advertising. The next one is the primary demand advertising. In other words, or in a short abbreviations, we can use PDA, which mainly focus on advertising a product category. So automatically, as you can always see the various types of advertisements or various types of the advertising, so they do not promote any brand image but a product type itself. So the whatever the demand of the customers, whatever the needs of the customers related to that particular product category, so if that's called the primary demand advertising. Let's take an example. We can talk about the got milk. Got milk is another primary demand advertising campaign that launched, that is mainly launched to encourage the more consumption of milk. That means more and more consumption of milk. And this particular campaign is mainly highlights the benefits of the consuming milk. That means you have picked the category of any of the products, like for example the milk, the daily usage of the customers, and how you will going to prepare an advertising campaigns to focus on this particular product category, that is called milk, and how you will highlight the benefits and the uses for the uses of the milk for the particular welfare of the people. And that is exactly called the primary demand advertising, which is mainly focused on the consumption of the milk. And this campaign was created, it's created when the dairy products realized that the milk consumption was declining. So that is called the primary demand advertising, where the mainly focuses on the product category. So the product category is a dairy product categories, and from the dairy product categories, the milk product has been chosen, where actually when there is some problem or a concern is to be seen, the organization or the company will always do an advertising campaign, so that the consumer will get aware and more awareness, so that the sales would get increased. And that's called the primary demand advertising. Next one is brand advertising. So it is also a marketing strategy which mainly focused on creating a long-term emotional connection between a demand and its audience. So brand is always like talk about you can see a strong relationship between on a long-term basis, that how they will make up a connection in terms of emotions between a brand and its audience. So let's take an example to understand more about this type of advertising. That is, for example, a Dove Real Beauty campaign. So there is like a product which calls Dove. It is you can say a soap product for the women's. So that is that advertising campaign which has been created. It's mainly focused on a body positivity and the self-confidence by featuring the real woman, which build up a strong brand image and trust and loyalty. And that's called the brand advertising. So it's always focused on the company brand value, a company branded product, which is called a Dove soap product, which mainly give a message on the body positivity and its own self-confidence, is how you can increase your self-confidence by using such product, a real woman's, and you can see on an advertisement where the five women are talking about a soap product and how it will use and improve your skin sensitivity. Then ultimately it's build up a strong brand trust and loyalty towards towards the customers or with the customers, and that is called the brand advertising. Next one is you can see that direct advertising. So direct advertising is a marketing strategy that is targeted directly to the user. For example, like if a new product has been launched by the company, just give a direct sales call to the customers, direct emails about their product, the mail flyers you can use. The company can use paid and targeted advertising on the social media. That is called the direct marketing, where the advertising, where the ads are actually reached to the direct users, and that is called the direct advertising. Next one is indirect advertising. Indirect advertising is essentially getting someone else to advertise for you. That means you are not doing any sort of advertising on your behalf. The other third party or the second party could work for your advertisement, and that is called the indirect advertising. For example, newspapers articles. The next one is direct action advertising, where the seller would seek a quick response to their messages from the companies or from the particular sellers, and that's called a direct action advertising. Indirect action advertising, it is mainly designed to stimulate the demand over a long period of time. So when we talk about such action advertising, they will prepare an advertisements which is where the particular action is to be done so that the sales would get increased, the profit would get increased, but over a long period of time. And that is actually called the indirect action advertising. That means the company has did an advertisement, and through the advertisements, the profits and the sales would get increased over a long period of time, and that is called the indirect action advertising. It is mainly intended, or it is mainly targeted to focus the customers so that the product would get exist in the market and always spend out its own benefits related to a particular product. That is called the indirect action advertising. The next one is retail or local advertising. It is that type of advertising where the dealers who sells, that means it could be retailers, it could be you can say the owners of the shop, owners of the shops who sell actually their products to the consumers. That is called the retail and local advertising. You can have a look in various you can say the complex markets or the small short stalls where the local advertising and the retail advertising has always been put on the streets where the particular advertisements could you can easily see and identify the name of the companies, that which company you are mainly prefer the product or mainly you want to buy a product into that particular shops or into that particular stores. That's called the retail or local advertising. You can take up an example of such advertising. You can talk about the departmental stores, the supermarkets. Even you can check out the malls where you can see on the upfront where the various advertisement you can see about the west side, about the you can see Zara, you can stores, you can see the United Betterment of Colors. So there are so many branded products or branded you can see shops where they can put the ads on the upfront of the mall or on the wall of the malls. That is also called the retail or the local marketing. You can have or you can see there the DMart is also you can see where the ads is always put on the street. You can say walls so that you can see the ads of the products, and accordingly you can visit the DMart and buy that particular product. So you can take an example of such advertising like department stores, supermarkets, chain stores, discount stores, specialty shops, and that's called the retail or local advertising. Now, the next type is cooperative advertising. Cooperative advertising is the share of the cost for the locally placed advertising between a retailer or wholesaler and manufacturer. There are many manufacturers who have said their amount is to be shared or to be saved for an advertising purposes, which are always being available on a yearly basis, and it is mainly contributed for the plenty of opportunities for the collaboration if exist in the market, and that is actually called the cooperative advertising, where the cost is to be shared for the locally advertisements between a retailer or wholesaler and manufacturer. So when there is a sharing of cost between the retailer or the manufacturer or the wholesaler and the manufacturer, that's become the cooperative advertising, because the sharing of the cost exists between them, and that is called the one of the type of advertising that's called cooperative advertising. Now we can come up to the next section, that is the role of advertising. The first one is creating awareness. Advertising always helps to introduce your new product and service to the potential customers through the advertisement, so that the customers will get more and more aware about the new products, and it will generate the interest among their minds. Next one is it's building the brand identity. Advertising is always helps to create a unique brand identity for a company or for a products with associate with certain values, attributes, and benefit uses, and that is also the one of the role of advertising. Next one is communicating the product benefits. It always helps to communicate the unique products, the benefits of a particular product and services to the potential customers, and how, and it could be communicated through the advertising, and that is also the one of the main tasks of advertising, that how they will communicate the main benefits and the uses of the products. Next one is shaping the consumer attitudes and perception. Advertising is always helps to shape up the various ways that how the customers could perceive towards a particular brand or product. So they can use the, you can say, persuasive messaging, emotional appeals messages, memorable visuals. Companies can use the various tools of marketing or advertising, so that the advertising can influence that how the customers think and feel about their products. Next one is advertising increases the sales and revenues. That's very true fact in this particular point, that it could be done through, or it could be increased through the effective advertising, which always leads to increased sales and revenues for the particular business. And by generating the interest among the consumer, or build up the awareness and always communicate about the product benefits, advertising will always achieve the customer acquisition and the retention levels. Next one is supporting other marketing efforts. So advertising can complement the other marketing efforts. It could be other tools of marketing like sales promotion, public relation, social media techniques, and when they work together on this, and advertising is always helps to create a consistent, integrated marketing messages to the customers, and they could directly reach to the customers through the social media platforms. And that is the main part or main roles of advertising in these particular points. Next term is what is advertising management. Advertising management is always called a systemized process, which always connected with the planning, with the monitoring, and the controlling the different marketing advertising activities. And ultimately, when we talk about planning, when we talk about the monitoring, when we talk about the controlling, the different, or you can say applying the different advertising activities, which always influence the purchasing decision or the purchasing behavior of the target audience, that's called the advertising management. After all, we are managing the advertisement or advertising activities with the help of their proper planning, effective monitoring, and controlling. their activities so that they can change the behavior, the purchasing behavior of the buyers either positively or you can say negatively. The reason behind the advertising management is to create and place advertisements on the most suitable platforms to get the best results. So if you are planning, if you are monitoring and controlling the different advertising activities, it is very important to understand that uh, what type of platforms that you are using to advertise your products, because ultimately the major concern for the company is to get the best results for it. Next one of the major example of advertising management is to creating the advertising campaign for a new product. So it could be creating then accordingly that this is a one of the activity of advertising, that to create or to prepare the advertising campaign for a new product. So what type of planning or monitoring and controlling type of management is to be done? It could include the creating a budget, developing a creative strategy, select the media outlets, then design the creative material, placing the ads, measuring the results. You can see or track the performances of the ads, optimizing the campaign. This is actually called advertising management. So you can take a particular statement that how you will plan, how you will monitor, how you will control such advertising activity, and that's called advertising management. Next one is advertising campaign. The advertising campaign, or in other words, we can talk about the marketing campaign. Here it refers a series of advertising messages that when whatever the campaign that you are a particular company is preparing is always focused on a product which reveals a strong messages to the larger audience, and that is called the advertising or the marketing campaign. So it is a series of advertising messages that always shares a single idea and a theme, so that a particular integrated marketing communication would takes place. So what is an integrated marketing communication? As the advertising campaign using the concept of communicating tool that is called the integrated marketing communication. So integrated marketing communication is one of the platform where the group of the people can group their ideas, beliefs, opinions, views, concepts, the theories, and put into a one large media base, and that is called the integrated marketing communication. So once you put all your ideas, beliefs and concepts and theories, and you put one of the type of the media base, that could be a television, that could be a magazine, that could be the radio, that actually called the integrated marketing communication. So one of the best example on this particular campaign is used by the McDonald's. So by using their campaign, there is a slogan that I'm loving it. So the why this slogan is mainly used and most and more popular among the you can say the larger audience, or it always be you can say popular globally as well. So this phrase is always allow for an easy translation. Anyone could easily understand by the people in many different locations of the world, and that is called the advertising campaign. So that is a main focus is just prepare one of the tagline and one of the slogan, so that a larger audience could able to understand within a seconds and just love your tag or the slogan, and it automatically appears in the minds of the consumer. That actually called an advertising campaign. Next concept is advertising budget. So advertising budget, it refers, is all about the funds, it's all about the money. So it refers the amount of money that the company could allocate for its own advertising products or services to the target audience. So that is called the advertising budget, and automatically the company should prepare the financial plan which that how they will distribute and allocate the money so that the company would able to spend on advertising for a particular period or a specific period, usually a year. It is very important aspect of the that how the company market their product, and of course it is an important element of the company marketing plan, because this is one of the concept which determine that how much money is required to distribute to different advertising channels such as the television, radio, print, online, social media, and others platforms as well. So budget is always depends on the various factors like the company main objectives, what would be the target audience, what type of competitions dealing with, and what are the industry trends available in the market. So that is called, you can say that the one of the fact that how the company would allocate the funds on the various advertising channels. The advertising budget could be calculated in the different ways. It could be calculated as a percentage of company revenue, percentage of the projected sales, or based on the objectives of the company that a company's want to achieve through advertising only. So, advertise that deciding in the budget for the advertising, the company should always focus that how they will reach up the target audience, how they will increase the brand awareness, how they will convert the products into the sales, how they will generate the leads for the products, and ultimately it will increase the sales. And ultimately, if there is an increase in the sales, which always increase the profits for the organization and company. And that is overall called advertising budget. Next, we talk about the advertising budget types, where the advertising budget based on the calculations, on the percentage based, on the objective based, on the competitive parity based. So that is all about in this percentage of sales budget. This type of advertising budget it always allocate a certain percent of the company revenues to advertising. That means whatever the revenues the company earns, just save a few percent of that revenue on advertising, and that is called the percentage of sales budget. For example, the company may allocate the 5% of its sales revenue to advertising. That is called the percentage of sales budget. The next type is objective and task budget. So this type of advertising budget, it's mainly based on the specific marketing objectives, so that the company wants to achieve whatever they want to through advertising only. The company determine or classify the task that is required to achieve the objectives, what would be the associated cost, and then allocate the budget accordingly, and that is called the objective and task budget. So whatever the budget is to be decided on the basis of the objective and task only. Next one is competitive parity budget. So this type of budget is based on the level of the advertising spending by the company's competitors. So whatever the company competitors are available in the market, how much they spend on the advertisement or advertising, that depends upon the own company level of spending on advertising, and that is called the competitive parity budget. The company always matches the advertising spending to of its competitors to remain competitive in the market. So if like for example, if a company is deciding the price of a product, of a new product, then ultimately they look after the competitive prices of its new product, and accordingly they will decide their own set of price for its own product. Same concept apply to the competitive parity budget only. So, but the difference is where I'm talking about that time the price. Here I'm talking about the advertising spending. So, if a company is deciding advertising spending level on the particular you can say advertisements, then ultimately they will look after the competitive advertising spending level, and accordingly they will decide their own advertising but you can see the spending level on its own products. So that is called the competitive parity budget. Next one is all you can afford budget. So this type of advertising budget is based on the amount of money that a company can afford to spend on the advertising after all other expenses have been paid. So automatically when a company is already expending so much on the other you can say activities, then ultimately whatever is left that to be used on advertising. So that is called the all you can afford budget. This approach is not effective because it does not consider any of the marketing objectives or company marketing objectives, and of course it always leads to insufficient advertising, because whatever the amount is left, it is a very challenging task that it could be used, it could not be used. So it could not be used, it become a major tragedy for the company and major loss for the company, and that's why it's not at all real effective to apply into companies. Next one is affordable budget. Affordable budget, this type of advertising budgets is allocate a fixed amount of money for advertisement based on what the company can afford. So automatically this approach is also not effective, and it does not consider the marketing objective, and it leads to insufficient advertising or desired results, adverse desired results, and that is called affordable budget. Next one, the last type is payout budget. This type of advertising budget is based on the what would be the expected return on investment. So whatever the investment is done on the advertisement of a new product, and what the company has achieved that earn a possible rate of return, that is actually called payout budget. So the company allocates the budget based on the expected revenue generated from the advertising campaign. So whatever the advertising campaign of a new product, and what the what the revenue has been earned from that particular campaign, that is called the payout budget. Next section is advertising appeal. So advertising appeal refers to a specific strategies and approaches so that the advertisers use to grab the attention of the customers or a target audience and convince them to take an action so that they can make a purchase, trying a product or a service, or changing their purchasing buying process. So advertising appeals are essentially the hooks so that the advertisers use to make their messages more and more memorable and appealing in the minds of the consumers. And there's so many types of advertising appeals who are ranging from the emotional appeals, where the messages leads to an emotional contrast, to the rational appeals or the humorous appeals, which is based on the sense of humor, that is called the advertising appeals. For example, celebrity appeals. So the appeals, and there are so plenty of appeals that use the celebrity of well-known public figures to endorse a product. So there are so plenty of the celebrities who have endorsed their particular product and services, so that a product will get more and more popular into the market, and they convince the consumers to try the product. And that's called the celebrity appeals, where they're advertising the product through the popularity, through the use of the popularity of the celebrities. So automatically, one of the example would take up a popular athlete might endorse a sports drink. Like we can talk about the Akshay Kumar, who always endorse a thumbs up ads, and it always give a message of the sports drink, which is very helpful or beneficial for the youth. And of course, and we can talk about the famous actor like Akshay Kumar, we can talk who always or Salman Khan, we can talk about who always promote a luxury car brand. So that is called the advertising appeal, where the different categories of the appeals would be used uh, in the minds of the customer, so that the customer could try the product. Next one is advertising appeals types. It's one of the most important section of this particular unit. Next one is emotional appeals. These appeals is always target on the consumer's emotions like fear, happiness, sadness, anger, so that they can make up a strong connection with the brand or product. And that is called the emotional appeals. Advertising is always emotional appeals, which always talk about the emotions create an emotional messages, so that they could become more and more memorable and effective to convince the consumers to take a particular action, a positive action on the product. Next one is rational appeals. These appeals uses the logic and the reasons to convince the audience, so that a particular product or service is always seems superior to others in the market. For example, the advertising for a car might focus on the fuel efficiency, safety features, and affordability. That means whatever the product is going to advertise, it always talk about their benefits on a smaller scale to the higher scale, and that is called the rational appeals. That how they will use the logical parameters and the reasons, so that they can convince the audience, and that a particular product or service seems superior to others in the particular market. And that kind of appeals is called the rational appeals. Next one is humorous appeals. These appeals use the humor and the satire to make the advertisement more entertaining and memorable. So whatever the messages is to be prepared, and whatever the advertisements is to be used to make more entertaining and memorable. For example, an advertisement for a snack food might use a funny scenario to create a positive association with the product. You can see in real about on the various advertisements where the snack type of food, where the comedy elements is always being seen in the ad, where the exact audience could laugh on it, and it always creates a positive connection with the product. Next one is fear appeals. These appeals use the fear to motivate consumer to take actions. Just wake up about or to remove your fears. That's one of the examples is Khatron Ke Khiladi, where the plenty of the celebrities would act or would take a chance to remove their fears from the peak heights or from the animals, from the snakes or the small things which you have, which always have your fear since the childhood, and you can immediately remove. So such type of events, such type of programs which also helps or gives a strong message, so that the customers could always have a positive connection with them. So these appeals use fear to motivate consumer to take an action like buying or purchasing a product or changing a behavior. For example, a fear appeal in advertising, an advertisement for a home security system might use fear appeal by showing a video of burglary in progress, where the plenty of the you can see things has been stolen, and it breaking you can see easily into a home and steal the valuable items. So such kind of advertisement which always focused about that how you will protect your home, how you will protect your belongings, how you will protect or feel safe and secure about their family members and relatives. And ultimately, it will convince the audience to protect your home by having or purchasing the home security system and include a call of action to contact the company or to set up a consultation so that your home would get secure. And that is called the fear appeals. Next one is sexual appeals. So these appeals use the sexual imaginaries or themes to grab the attention of the audience and create a well-defined connection with the product or brand. However, the advertisers needs to be very careful when using a sexual appeals because sometimes it feels offensive or inappropriate to the audiences, and that's called the sexual appeals. The next one is bandwagon appeals, where these appeals use the idea that everyone is doing it to convince the consumers to take and work on their own skills or work. For example, an advertisement for a popular restaurant may join the millions of satisfied customers who love our food. So that is called the bandwagon appeals. Celebrity appeals is as a it refers to a well known public figure so that they endorse a particular product and service so that they can, with a particular aim of leveraging their popularity or credibility to convince the consumers to try it. I already explained the celebrity appeals where a particular soap or the combination of five well-known public figures would come together and endorse a particular Lux soap, and accordingly they will portray or convince the customers a real health sensitivity or skin sensitivity, and accordingly they will convince the customers so to try the product, to buy the product, so that they can feel you can see strong connection with them, and that is called the celebrity appeals. Next is media selection, planning, and scheduling. Media selection and planning and scheduling are one of the most essential aspect that how the companies or the organizations developing an effective advertising campaign. So in this particular section, we can cover up the key considerations involved in the media selection, planning, and scheduling. So media selection, planning, and scheduling is always being considered when we develop an effective advertising campaign. So automatically, when make up the media selection, planning, and scheduling, or to consider the target audience, the budget, timings, seasons, testing, reach, frequency, fleetening, and continuity of the particular, you can say, advertising campaign. It could be, you can say, emphasize so that to develop a comprehensive, or you can say the strategy, a media strategy, so that they can achieve, a company can achieve the advertising goals. And that's called a basic overview of the media selection, planning, and scheduling. So let's come up in detail about the media selection, what steps to be followed. Media selection, so choosing a right track of media channels is very essential to reach your target audience effectively. So these are the various channels. Before you select any media channels, it is very important to consider the key considerations. The first one is target audience. So what type of target audience that a particular company would like to reach? That is the one of the most important parameter. Next one is budget. A company should determine which media channel fits the company budget, and so that they can achieve the advertising goals. So that is also the one of the important consideration. Frequency, how often you need to reach your target audience so that you can achieve the goals of advertising. Next one is integration, how they will combine different media channels to create a cohesive and consistent advertising message. So this is how they will integrate, how they will combine the various media channels so that they can create a consistent and innovative advertising message, so that mainly useful and give an appeal to the customers or audiences. Next concept is media planning. So media planning is all about developing a comprehensive strategy so that a different media channels could be used to reach out their target audience effectively. So automatically, before planning your media, it is very important to consider the three main you can say parameters. The first one is timing, seasonality, and testing. So timing, that choose media channels which is most effective in reaching your target audience at the right time. It could be a short period, it could be a long period, or it could be the medium period. So this is how the company should decide the first parameter, that is timings. Next one is seasonality. Consider how the seasonal factors can it may be considered like holidays or the special events that ultimately affect the advertising strategies. Next one is testing. Test whatever the strategy has been prepared by the company. Test your advertising strategy with a smaller budget, not a larger budget. A small budget is to be decided, and accordingly test your advertising strategy with such budget before investing more and more funds and resources to make more effective. That is called testing. So this is how the media planning works, that using up these parameters, then plan something more effectively for media. Next one is creating effective advertisements. So creating effective advertisement refers a process that how the company design and developing advertisements so that they can achieve their own objectives, such as the brand awareness, increase the brand awareness, increase the sales, or increase the website traffic. Effective advertisements are those which are effectively communicate and just reveal a strong messages to the target audiences and make them satisfied to take a desired decisions towards their purchases of a product or service. And that is called the effective advertisement. But how the company could create an effective advertisement, there is a process to follow. These are the key steps for creating effective advertisements. Define your target audience, that how that to create such an advertisement that actually directly deals with the audiences. Set the clear objectives. The company should determine what you want your advertisement to achieve. It would, so is it increase the brand awareness, or increase the sales, or increase the website traffic? That is a major questions to be answered, and that is the major objectives of the company. Develop a creative concept. This is what an overarching idea which drive the advertisement message and the visual elements. Next one is craft a compiling message. So automatically the advertisement message should be very clear, should be very concise and memorable, so that the particular companies or the audiences would easily understand the language. Choose the right media. So the channels, consider which channels will reach your target audience more effectively. Whether it could be the social media, whether it could be television, print, or a combination of all these, you can say, channels. Next one is design your ad. So once you have decided the right media, now you have to design your ad. It could be the visual elements you have to put on so that they will support your message and accordingly come up with a creative concept. Then test and refine. So before launching your advertisement, just test with a small group of people and make the necessary adjustments or changes if needed. Once you test and refine or any changes that has been done to improve and make it best, then the last step is launch and track results. Just launch your advertisement, track the performances of your advertisement, so that to determine whether they are meet up your objectives or company objectives or not. And if something is lacking, just make the changes as needed so that the results would get more and more desirable in that particular contest. Production of advertisement. So they are the production of advertisement. It's just a process of creating the final version of an ad that mainly used to promote a product in the market. So there are three main activities or stages: pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production, just plan the advertisement, prepare the production process. It could develop a script, select a location, hiring the actors and models, and create the storyboards. Production, it's film and recording all the particular ad, capturing the footage, recording as you can, whatever you can see in the, like for example, you are watching the Big Boss and the ads that you can see during the break. That's called the production of advertisement. That is called the recording or filming of the ad, including the capturing the footage, recording the audio, and directing the actors or the models in this particular stage. So this stage will take place in a studio. You can talk in any type of location and may use the use of specialized equipments and techniques. And the last one is post-production. So when the production has been take place, then it is editing and refining the final version of the ad. And accordingly, it will be reviewed and approved by the client before it being released. Thank you so much for listening this lecture. I'll come up to more and more important topics in the next particular session. Thanks. Till time, namaste to all.